Hey guys, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth here alongside Mike Evans. Mike, how are you, buddy? Everything good?
I am great. How are you doing? Are you excited to you get back in the saddle this week? You're going to be calling a game. You got the Dolphins in Arizona. A real interesting matchup now that Tua is back.
You know what it really is, and it's funny as I dug into the game tape, and I'm hunkered down watching the film, Mike, and constantly doing that stuff. Man, I tell you what, there's these unintended consequences that happen when you create rules or things happen to you, and you lose your quarterback, and there's some unintended consequences there. Like I would tell you one thing that I think is an unintended consequence of the kickoff rule. Okay. The kickoff rule, you move it up to the 30-yard line, and you know what's happened in unintended consequences? You're worse as a team in the red zone. Why? Because when you used to, in my day, when you came off the 20-yard line, like you were so nervous about taking a negative play there that your menu shrunk. And it was really about running the ball, getting yardage on first down when you knew you were going to face a run defense, all that kind of stuff, because you can't take a sack. You can't allow yourself to have a bad thing happen to you there. So those plays coming off the 30, because your playbook opens up in its entirety when you get just 10 yards. To the 30, it's totally different than it is from the 20 coming off your own end zone or your own end line. And so those plays coming off your own end line are similar to the plays you run going into the red zone. So you're less skilled at running the plays that you're going to run in the red zone than you were when you're coming off the 20, because you no longer come off the 20. The entirety of your playbook is open. And so for me, that's an unintended consequence. Coming off the 30-yard line has eliminated you being better and more versed and having worked on coming off your own 20, the same type of goal line plays. So I tell you that to tell you this. The Miami Dolphins have become a better all-around football team because Tua missed time. You watch the way they're running the ball right now. You watch the way they're condensing formations. You watch the way they're using a fullback. When you think of Miami, you think of a spread football team, right? Spread the ball out, throw it down the football field, do all those things. Right now, they are second in the league in 21 personnel. 2 backs, 1 tight end. Those 2 backs being a tailback, whether it's Mostert or whether it's Achane, right? Or whether it's, whoever the back is. And then it's also Alec Ingold, their fullback. And so they're the second, they run the second most 21 personnel of any team in football. And they are running the snot out of the ball off the edges. They're beating people up. They're physical. And so all of a sudden, when you watch the film, I'm watching 3 quarterbacks that have played for the Miami Dolphins that couldn't play dead in Western. I mean, they're awful, Mike. And there's guys running around wide open all over the place. And you're like, oh, my Lord, if and when Tua comes back, like that offense is going to be open. Now, I don't know how much rust they'll have, but I'm telling you right now, at 2-5, the Miami Dolphins are a playoff threat.
Well, okay, they were forced to play that way without Tua, and they discovered some things. But now that Tua's back, won't the emphasis be on getting Tyreek Hill going again and Jalen Waddle going again? And won't they just go back to what they were doing before?
Well, the focus will be getting those guys the ball. But to me, they have become a better or a more proficient offense with Tua's. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, hey, man, we don't have to. So I always say this about being in rhythm, Mike. Being in rhythm, like if you're a spread, throw the ball football team, when you get out of rhythm, like there's some things that are like quirky and you drop a ball and you're off, and you're not accurate on the ball and all these different things that happen to you over the course of that. Like, it's really hard to throw yourself back into a rhythm. But when you can line up in a condensed formation, say we're going to run 2 backs and 2 tight ends, we're going to beat the snot out of you right now. We're just going to try to, shove it down your throat. Then all of a sudden, guess what? You're like, hey, guess, our passing game's not doing what it normally should do or what we want it to do. Let's go ahead and beat some people up. Let's go ahead and set up a couple of easy play action throws. Let's go up and set up a couple of easy read off the play action. We only have one receiver we're trying to get it to, and we're going to threaten that linebacker, that we're putting in conflict. We're going to threaten him, make him step up in the run. We're going to throw it right behind him. Bam! All of a sudden, now we're clicking again. Now we're running again. And I think that's again one of the things that you'll see the benefit of Miami missing to it. Like, you never want to miss your starting quarterback. You never want to miss starting players. But I think they're a better team having missed Tua. Like, they're a better overall team. I think they're, like, on film, I could be wrong, but on film, I think they're a lot better than people give them, like, what their record says they are.
All right, I'll circle back to the Dolphins as part of a larger question that I have for you. But first, what the heck is going on with the Jets? Davante Adams has been here like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he's calling team meetings and reading everyone the riot act.
Yeah.
What the hell is happening there?
Boy, it just shows you, like, from a cultural standpoint, we always talk about culture. How do you develop a culture? How do you create a culture? And when a guy who's been there for 5 days sees the way they're playing, and he mentioned we've got way too much talent to play this way. And you're there for 5 days, and you can see it. You can smell the stench that is the Jets. And then you feel compelled, like you're looking around the locker room going, is nobody going to say anything? Like, this is just okay. I always say this, that oftentimes, talent is wasted on talented people. We got a lot of talent. Don't give a shit. I don't care about your talent. Doesn't matter to me. How do you guys play? How do you play for one another? How do you sacrifice for one another? How do you go out there and leave it all out on the line? Like, to me, there's a lot of teams in the National Football League that think they're working hard, that think they're playing hard, that think they're studying hard, that think they're preparing the right way. And obviously, it takes a guy to come in from a crap situation in Raiderland that knows the difference between, he's seen it when he was with Green Bay and seen it. And he just came out of a crap situation. Like, thank God I'm out of that, that stench. And he walked right back into a locker room that has the same stench. By the way, where's Aaron Rodgers?
That was going to be the question.
He's in the corner. You know where he is? I guarantee you I know where he is. He's in the corner feasting on boogers. He's like, I can't talk right now. My mouth was full of boogers. What's he doing right now? Where is he at? So there's that aspect of it, that Aaron Rodgers ain't hanging around. So there is, that's an issue. That Davante Adams, and the other thing is, do guys not respect Aaron Rodgers enough to listen to him anymore? Have they gotten to the point where, hey, Aaron, listen, man, whatever, dude. Like, has he spoken enough to where you're like, dude, maybe quit throwing interceptions and maybe we'll listen to you. Maybe you're supposed to be the savior. You come in here talking that high horse and missing mini camp and going to Egypt and doing all the things you do, getting in, and our head coach got fired. What was it? It was Woody Johnson saying, hey, the reason I fired Robert Saleh is because, Robert, we needed a spark, and this is going to provide the spark. Really? I haven't seen the spark. Well, we got Davante Adams. Now our offense is going to be fixed. Really? Because it didn't look fixed the other day. What are we doing here? Davante Adams has to come in and address your organization because you guys suck that bad? That's an issue, Mike. That is a huge issue.
So let me bring the Dolphins back in as this question. So I got 3 teams here in the AFC that were all expected to be serious playoff, not only threats, but like AFC championship type threats. I got the Jets at 2-5. I got the Dolphins at 2-4, and I have the Bengals at 3-4. If you had to pick one of these 3 teams that dug themselves this early hole, but you would be willing to predict still end up in the playoffs, who would it be?
Wow, that's a great question. I think if I had to predict, I only get to take one, right?
One.
It's not the Jets. The Jets are an absolute shit show. So it's not the Jets.
So blunt.
Right.
So I love it.
I think I'd take Miami. I mean, there's part of me that wants to take Cincinnati, but like the AFC North, Baltimore's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland's got a good defense, and they played them the other day. And, I think they got a kickoff return, and, their defense played really well. And, they beat them by a touchdown. But their offense really didn't produce against Cleveland. Cleveland's still got a really formidable defense, and they'll be better. Cleveland's going to be better without the knucklehead playing quarterback. Sorry. Like the Cincinnati Bengal fans booed him when he was getting carted off, and and we got Jameis Winston getting all emotional, and we got
Cleveland fans.
What did I say?
Cincinnati fans. Cleveland.
Oh yeah, Cleveland fans all booed him when he was coming off, and I was like, they're not booing his injury, they're just cheer. They cheered, right? They cheered. Yeah. They're not cheering his injury. They're cheering. They don't have to watch that dreck anymore. Like they were just excited not to have to. So I think their offense will probably be better without Deshaun Watson playing. Defensively, they're formidable. Pittsburgh, all of a sudden, we know how good their defense is. And, Russ threw the ball deep to Pickens, and they made some big plays in the passing game. That was good. We know Baltimore's really freaking good. I think I go Miami. Buffalo, I think is the class of that conference or that division. New England, and the Jets are, So yeah, I'd go Miami in that.
Okay, fair enough. Mark, what does the DeAndre Hopkins trade to Kansas City mean?
Gives them a legitimate chain mover. Like a lot of people, we talked about this on Breakfast Ball, like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins, well, he's not what he once was. Well, last year, by the way, with multiple quarterbacks playing, DeAndre Hopkins had 137 targets, 75 catches, and over 1,000 yards receiving plus 7 TDs. Yep. And here's the thing about DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins has never been a lift the top of coverage burner guy. He's never been able to run like that. That's not who he is. He's a great route runner, and he's got a great catch radius. And Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator from a year ago, when I did a game out there, he said, let me tell you something. He goes, even when he's double teamed, he's open. Like all you got to do is throw it in his area. And I don't know if you've ever seen his hands. He's got 6X gloves that he wears. His hands, like when I put my hands up against his hands, this is what it looked like. Like, can you see that? Like his hands are like that much longer than, and I played O-line in the league. Like he's got these ginormous mitts, unbelievable catch radius, and he's never relied on speed. He's relied on getting in and out of breaks. He's relied on, using his body to body people up, even though he's a slender guy, and just great catch radius, great hands. I think automatically becomes the go-to guy. And it's not just about big plays over the top or anything. It's about what's been missing. You look at Patrick Mahomes right now, 6 TDs, 8 interceptions. He's got more interceptions than TDs right now because he doesn't have a chain mover. Right? So now we've got to take chances. You're in 3rd down and 8. You got to take chances. If you're in 3rd down and 2, you don't have to. Like these are the things that I think benefit. So I think automatically D-Hop becomes a big-time player for the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid will put him in a position to have great success. And I think he becomes kind of the go-to receiver, the chain mover, if you will, the guy that keeps you on schedule for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's bounce around a little bit. 49ers, Cowboys. What will it mean for the loser of this game?
You're done. Even
the 49ers.
Dude, like maybe not the 49ers in that division, but right. Come on. Like now I fully expected the 49ers to beat the Cowboys in this particular game. And, Jerry Jones comes out and says ridiculous things all the time. He said that, I know you heard the sound. He said that, they're designing bad plays. Like, Lord, like, just shut up, dude. Seriously. Like, you want to, like, it's better to be thought of as an idiot than open your mouth than remove all doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you think they're going, hey, guys, we got to get together now. Coaching staff, let's go. Let's get that bad design play meeting going. You're like, well, let's design some really bad plays here. Like, the plays aren't bad designs. The execution of the plays are bad. The talent that you have is bad. Like I go back through a game against Detroit, and they're lining up CeeDee Lamb, their number one weapon in the backfield, and he's running it between the tackles. Now, if you want to say that's a bad design, yeah. But the problem is we got to get him the ball. He's our only offensive threat. So how are we going to get him the ball when they're double teaming him out on the outside? When we've got him out there, they're getting a double team. So let's just give him the ball in the running game. Like that is not nearly as bad from a design standpoint as it is from a general manager standpoint. Maybe Mike McCarthy ought to call the owner, Jerry Jones, into a meeting so he can besmirch the general manager that's screwing him right now for a lack of talent. Jerry also said that, he couldn't get Derrick Henry. Like it was a well-known fact that Derrick Henry lives in Dallas and wanted to play for the Cowboys. They didn't even call. They didn't even make an offer. Hey, you're a free agent. No, we don't need a running game. We don't need that. Like what are you doing out there? So that's an abject disaster. They can't control either line of scrimmage. The Dallas Cowboys can't run the ball. They can't control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. They certainly can't do it defensively. Every time they play a team that matches up with a great running back, they get it shoved right up their ass. So, I don't think Dallas is winning this game, and therefore I think Dallas is in deep trouble.
Can you humor me and everyone else out there? Can you have Jerry Jones calling out a play?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get in that one formation where we get a lot of guys on one side, and then we put 88 on the other side, and then we have a quarterback. We throw it to 88. Run that play. Run that play.
It's a keeper. It'll work.
Gosh, wow. It's unbelievable. Like this dude, you're killing me. You're just killing me.
Which team would you say has more of a chance to spiral completely out of control, the Jets or Cowboys?
I would say the Cowboys.
Wow, that's saying something after what you just said about the Jets.
Right. Well, I think the Cowboys have gigantic expectations. The Jets are going to win a game against New England because New England's in disarray, right? Your head coach is now calling people soft, and then the report was that he might be a one and done coach, and and Bill Belichick is going, those guys aren't soft. What? Like Bill Belichick is lobbying for a job back with New England. Like, not when I say that right now. So, you got all these, all these things going on there. But I just feel like if Dallas the Jets franchise is used to losing. Mike McCarthy has been 12-5 for 3 years in a row. The Jets expect to lose. The one that spirals out of control for me, that becomes an absolute debacle, is Dallas, and I'm here for it. I am 100% here for it.
Yeah. You grab the popcorn, right? This is the car wreck you can't help but look at when you drive by. Interesting. We're doing this on the morning of the game tonight is Minnesota and the Rams. What do you make of this rumor of a Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold trade, where Stafford goes to the Vikings?
Yeah, well, I mean, remember it was several years ago, their general manager was like, F them picks, we're going for it. Well, they won that Super Bowl, right? And now you realize how cash-strapped you are, right? How pressed up against the cap you are, all those things. And you're looking at it like, hey, man, I mean, we've got injuries we can't overcome. Cooper Kupp, they're talking about moving Cooper Kupp. And you're looking at it like, hey, Puka Nacua is the same guy as Cooper Kupp from the standpoint of what he does in the run game, the way he is as a receiver, like the success he had last year as a rookie, and we don't have to pay him anything. So we can clear up, $14, $15 million a year on our cap with Cooper Kupp. We can move on from him. Stafford, we renegotiate his contract, but he's a big money guy. And ultimately, they're going to get rid of Sam Darnold when the rookie J.J. McCarthy is ready. So why not have Stafford go out there, play another year or two, or whatever it is, while you're grooming McCarthy, and we can make Sam Darnold a long-term quarterback. Now, here's the other thing that's an interesting twist. Remember, Sean McVay was Kyle Shanahan's tight end coach when they were in Washington together. So those two not only compete great against one another, but those two are really tied together.
Yeah.
And based on what Shanahan told me about Sam Darnold last year when he went through his rehab program with the San Francisco 49ers, Shanahan raved. It's why I told you from day one, from a free agency standpoint, the Denver Broncos ought to go get Sam Darnold. Everybody goes, Sam Darnold, come on, that guy is a failure. You know, he fell with the Jets, he fell with Carolina. And I'm like, I am telling you right now from a guy that I really trust, Sam Darnold's going to take off. Sam Darnold's going to be great. And, of course, you know, that I had inside information. That was insider trading. I knew, based on what Kyle told me, how good this guy was going to be. And he has been nothing but great. He's been really good.
Is this a case then? All right, so that's from the Rams side. I totally get it. I see why you would do it.
Right.
But from the Minnesota standpoint, because Sam Darnold is playing lights out, and Sam Darnold is a legitimate MVP candidate right now. So is this a case where you would make this move from Minnesota's standpoint that as good as Sam Darnold has been for us, Matthew Stafford gives us the best chance to perhaps win a Super Bowl?
Correct. This is
Even
exactly
though Darnold's been the better quarterback.
right.
Okay.
This is exactly why you look at, like, we've got a really good team. We can run the ball, right? We've got that going for us. Aaron Jones has really solidified that aspect. We've got a good offensive line. You know, we're going to get a big time tight end back eventually in TJ Hawkinson, right? He's coming back at some point. We got the best receiver in football, and we've got a unbelievably good defense that really stresses people and gets us the ball back. And remember, just a few years ago, that the LA Rams said, you know, Jared Goff just doesn't get us over the top, but if we had Matthew Stafford, he would. And it worked, right? It just came to be that he was the difference in that Super Bowl. Now, Jared Goff is playing great football, don't get me wrong, but at the time, it made all the sense in the world. Right. Like right now, if you look at it and go, hey, man, we get in a tight playoff game where we really have to go out and win a game, who gives us a better chance? Last drive, you know, it's nut cutting time, game's on the line. Would you rather have would you rather have, you know, Matthew Stafford, or would you rather have Sam Darnold? And the answer is 100 out of 100 times it's Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they look at themselves right now and they're probably pleasantly like, can you believe where we're at right now? Like, we're doing this and we still have the future of our franchise sitting on the bench, and what he could learn from a guy like Matthew Stafford. And yeah, from the Minnesota standpoint, it makes sense too, really. Yeah. I mean, ultimately. So anyhow, it's a real interesting trade proposal, and I know a lot of people are talking about it.
One more, and then we'll get to our moneymaker picks. I need to come back. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows more about the NFC South than you do.
That's right.
And so I'm curious, with what the devastating turn of events for Tampa Bay the other night, does this just flat out clear the division for Atlanta?
You know, one thing that Tampa has done, Mike, they'll get Mike Evans back. They'll get you back. And you are a big-time playmaker. You always have been. Huge. So they'll get him back. Look, Chris Godwin, to me, is their best offensive player. Just like what he does, not only catching the ball, but what he does in the run game, what he does in the play action game. I've always been a huge fan. I think the guy's a great player. So there's that. They've got a lot of young players. One thing they had to do with the Brady thing, the Gronk thing, all the things they did, is they had to hit on all their draft choices, and they really have. They've done a good job hitting on their draft choices. And I'll say this about Baker Mayfield. Like, I've gone through this love-hate relationship with Baker. I absolutely love him, right? Like, the dude, I guarantee you, like, the dude goes to bed at night thinking, I'm the best player in the National Football League. And, you know, he may not be wrong. He's got that kind of swagger and confidence about him. So, and I think Atlanta is just quirky enough to lose games and get blown out like they did the other night. They scored 14 points the other night against Seattle, who hasn't been able to. The Giants put 29 on them. Like they haven't, and one of them was a blocked field goal for a touchdown. But there's just with Atlanta, there's just this up and down feeling to them. So I'm not going to write Tampa Bay off. I think that they play Atlanta this weekend. We'll see exactly what that looks like, but I'm not writing them off.
You ready to get to our picks?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, it's let me just see really quick. You, my friend, are really, really, putting on a show. You're 11-10 through 7 weeks. Me, on the other hand, I'm 14-6-1. You went 1-2 again last week. I had a bad week last week. I went 2-1. Oh. So it was it's off week for me. But you might
for me.
Yeah. You typical Mike week. So do you pick first this time?
I go first. Here's where the comeback that we'll all be talking about begins. I do recognize the up and down nature of Atlanta. They should be up this week after being down last week. I do agree with you that Tampa will eventually stabilize, but man, after what happened the other night, that's still got to be kind of raw. So I'm going to take Atlanta minus the 2.5 against Tampa. I'm going to take Houston back at home. CJ Stroud back in that comfort zone that is home. I'm going to lay the 5 against Indy. And then I'm going to take the Chargers. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. They need to bounce back after that disappointing loss on Monday. I think they will against the New Orleans team that's just ravaged. I'll give up the 7 there with the Chargers.
All right. Sometimes because it's not a lot of there's just not a big challenge going against you. Like it's just like
I know what you're going to do.
It's stealing. It's so easy.
You're going to go all opposites?
No. I thought about that too. But I didn't want to do that. This week is go big or go home.
Oh, okay.
That's this week's thing.
Big lines. They're this week out of all the weeks so far of the season, some of the biggest lines.
Yeah, huge lines out there. So I thought that I would go Ravens giving up 9. I'll take the Ravens. Then I thought, you know what? I'll go Chiefs 9.5. I'll take the Chiefs. And then this one will blow you away. The Broncos minus 9.5 over Carolina. I'm taking the Broncos. I'm giving the 9.5.
Wow.
Go big or go home.
Wow.
That's the theme.
Dave Tepper's wife will not enjoy that pick.
No, she won't. She might draft a quarterback out of Idaho next year.
To show you, right?
Right. Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Wow. 3 9+ point favorites.
There you go.
If you had another one, you would have taken Detroit minus the 11 against.
I thought about that was one of my originals, but my 11 is just a lot of points. So anyhow.
All right. Very good.
There you go. For everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, I am Mark. He is Mike. We appreciate you guys downloading, sharing, doing all the things that you do. Please like us and follow us or subscribe to the Stinkin' Truth podcast. Until next week, man, we will be back with you, and we appreciate you guys for sure. For Mike, I am Mark. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back with you guys early next week.